Hey everybody, I'm Jen Friesen,
I'm Katy Faust.
and this is the Them Before Us podcast. Also in Zoom form, maybe you're watching this on YouTube, maybe you saw it via Facebook. As everybody knows, everyone's in quarantine, so we're both in our houses. I live alone down here, but I have people above me. Katy has 4 kids, 4 dogs, so you can see the back of my room.
Yeah, I got 2 dogs. They're penned
Oh, 4
up
animals.
right, but I do have 1 cat in a box next to the computer.
So please excuse any weird audio, whatever. Everybody's dealing with this now, so we know we're in good company. But we wanted to start by talking about something really exciting. I don't know if you have a title yet or if you're allowed to say it, but there's going to be a Them Before Us book. So why did that come to be? Like, why are you writing a book? And tell
Yeah,
me a little bit about it.
so it's got a very surprising title. The title is Them Before Us. Why the World Needs a Global Children's Rights Movement. And the reason I'm writing this is because, as many of you guys know, I was on the Eric Metaxas show last summer, and he said, you need to write a book. And I said, boy, I don't have time to write a book. Have you seen my life? It's crazy. And he said, if you have any hope of really moving this global movement forward, you need a book. You need to lay all this out in one place, because some of it is, it's a concept that a lot of people have never thought of, and it touches subjects that a lot of people never expected, and you need to spell it out. So that is what we are currently working on.
And you say we, so you're not writing it all by yourself, right?
Yeah, so I have a co-author, and her name is Stacey Manning. She's the general editor at Them Before Us, and we have been kind of writing as a team probably since 2012.
Awesome. And let's see, you are, something I made a note of is you're incorporating a lot of your story, but also you as a kid, but also as some people have heard before, why kind of you got passionate about Them Before Us. Can you touch on that just a little bit and remind people?
Yeah, I don't talk about my own life very much, except to correct the record. Right in the preface, I talk about how, I wasn't raised by 2 moms. I wasn't raised by lesbians. My mom and dad divorced when I was 10, and I continued to have a relationship with both of them, even though my mom has been in a relationship with her partner for 30 years. But honestly, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for my father's influence. There's something specifically that dads give their daughters, and it's called confidence. There's something about a man delighting in you from birth to adulthood that really gives a girl a lot of confidence when she's walking into a room full of, nonprofit leaders who are all men. So I really think that I got something special from both of my parents bringing it into this project. My mom is amazingly empathetic. She can really see the side of everybody, and does not attribute malice to anyone. And that's really valuable when you're talking about contentious issues like reproductive technologies and the definition of marriage and things like that.
Now, you say one of the subheadings in your intro is that it's time for something new. Do you feel like this is actually going to offer something that people are not talking about?
Well, all I know is that when you talk about the same subjects from the child's perspective, you can literally see the light bulb go on above their head. When you talk about divorce from the perspective of the child, that what you're doing is not, divorce for the adult feels like a one-time event. Okay, now it's over. For the child, it is the first event of many losses and transitions that are going to affect them throughout their life. And especially because a lot of different millennials and Gen Z and Gen Xers understand what that means for their own life. They go, yeah, that's true. I've never thought of it that way before. And I think that I've never thought of it that way before is probably one of the most common responses that we have whenever we're bringing the child's perspective to all these different issues related to marriage and family.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the things Them Before Us, you've always, in your founding of it, has been so important, is saying we want to offer a perspective that nobody else is offering. Everything else has been about how do adults think and feel about a situation. And you're saying kids need to come first. So kids' stories are going to be a big part of this book?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. We haven't included everything. The most painful part is we can't include everything. So we have to choose only certain quotes from only certain stories among a mountain of options. And so thankfully I have an editor that's a little more judicious. Stacey has a better eye for knowing what to keep and what to toss. If it wasn't for her, this would be a 400-page book. It's probably going to be closer to 250.
Wow. Yeah. And that was one of the things you mentioned in that part of the kind of that intro about the kid stories, is there kind of seems to be in our culture things kids are allowed to complain about and think is sucky, and then things they are not allowed to. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, so we are talking about all of the different issues about marriage and family, whether it's reproductive technologies, divorce, kids who had a parent who transitioned, kids with same-sex parents. We've got a section in there about kids who lived in polyamorous homes and all of that. And we are highlighting the stories of kids who suffered, who struggled, who experienced mother hunger or father hunger or felt commodified. And we know that the stories that we're sharing are the kids who have really had to deal with the negative consequences of their parents' choices. Some kids are fine, right? Some kids of divorce thrive and feel like it's no big deal, glad my parents are happy. Some kids who are conceived through reproductive technologies, 20% of them say, I don't care, I really don't care. Okay, so there is a segment of the population who's unaffected by mother or father loss. And that little slim representation is the one that gets all the headlines, right? If you're a kid and you love that you were born through surrogacy, or you're so proud of your two dads, or whatever it is, you're going to get on the front page of the Atlantic. Right. But if you're a kid who struggled with any of these things, and you want to be honest about the cost of being raised by a single mother by choice, the relational fallout of sharing the honest pain that you experienced by being fatherless, well, that could torch all of the major relationships in your life. So we share the stories that we call them expensive stories, right? The stories that are expensive to tell, the ones that are not going to get you invited to the cocktail parties, at all of the swanky places, the ones that are not going to get that enthusiastic invite to Thanksgiving dinner, right? The ones that kids share maybe under the cloak of anonymity. And even then, I think 25% of the people that give me a peek into their story actually say, yeah, I'll share it on your website. Because some of them are still paranoid that if they change the location of where they were born or use a pseudonym, that their family is still going to find out. And then it'll be really difficult to balance two Christmases.
Yeah, right. Can you share just a little bit, if people are listening to this and they think they want to share their story, especially for us to use on our website or Facebook, we're always looking for more. Can you say a little bit what does that process look like?
Yeah, so what we try to do is, when you're trying to boil your life down into 2 or 3 pages, it's really difficult. So we send 4 prompts, 4 questions to kind of help people narrow down, how do I just limit this to something for the website. And our goal is to share the impact that the parents coming out, or the divorce, or the reproductive, the use of a sperm donor. What we want is people to see these issues from the child's perspective. Everybody's heard it from the adult perspective. Everybody knows the adult story, right? Their side of things have been humanized and sympathized and all of that. Our goal is to make sure that people are looking at this from the child's perspective. And so we give some prompts. We say, share some details, share some specific memories of what happened when your parents announced that they were going to be separated. And then talk about how that impacted your life as a child. And then we also say, how is it still impacting you as an adult? And it always is. All of these things that happen in our childhood, they don't stay in our childhood. They're things that we have to continue to deal with as adults.
Right. Yeah, it's really good. And finally, in chatting about the books, getting back to the book, you got someone really cool to do the foreword for it. So can you tell us more about that?
So Professor Robert George at Princeton University wrote the foreword for the book. Look at his Wikipedia page. It's hard for me to summarize exactly what a big deal it is that he would choose to give the introduction for this book about a global children's rights movement. So I'm really honored by that. And let me just say that when I got his email, I think he's been widely considered to be the most influential Christian conservative in the country. Like, I think that's kind of how you wrap it up. He's certainly kind of the academic leader about conservative issues, whether it's related to religious liberty or marriage and family, natural law. He is the head of the James Madison program over in Princeton. He is a major figurehead at the Witherspoon Institute. He started dozens of different organizations and nonprofits, been on all kinds of presidential commissions. And so I'm really honored, really grateful that he contributed some of his time and words to this project.
That's awesome. Well, we're really excited to hear more about the book. I know you can't talk about everything because we've got to buy it and read it, but maybe in future kind of podcasts or videos, we're going to talk a little bit more about what kind of is going to be in the book and what you even learned or were excited about in writing.
Yeah, we'll pull out some juicy tidbits for you guys to take away. Let me just say that in the 2 months, January and February, when I was immersed in the research for this, even I was blown away by how critical it is that we get these questions right, and how nobody, neither liberals nor conservatives, get anything they want if we can't defend every child's right to their mother and father.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. We're looking forward to it. Thanks everyone for listening or watching. Thank you, Katy, for being here. And we'll talk to you guys later.